Chapter 1. Victor's circle of wealthy friends recently came up with a new game: pretend to be bankrupt for a month. The purpose? To test their girlfriend's loyalty. To ensure realism, friends and family all played along, and even the company would assign a new boss. Dressed in a $5 t-shirt and a construction helmet, Victor confidently went to see the woman he loved most. But Lara looked at him with disgust and immediately called security to throw him out. He stood there in a daze for a long time before dialing another number with trembling hands. "Selena, I'm bankrupt. I have no home." On the other end, a soft, childlike voice comforted him. "Daddy, don't worry. You can stay in my room." Victor's call had come while I was in the kitchen, baking a cake. My daughter, playing with my phone, answered it right away. I didn't know what he told her, but my 4-year-old lit up with joy and ran toward me, losing a shoe in the process.
Mom.
"Great news. Daddy's bankrupt. That means he can finally be at my birthday this year." Bankrupt? The call was still connected, and the name on the screen read, ex-husband. The last time Victor called me was during New Year's. He only reached out on holidays, asking me to pretend to be his loving wife in front of his parents, to please the elders. But the moment we stepped out of their house, he'd coldly drop my hand and rush to see Lara. His car would be loaded with gift boxes in the back and a sea of red roses in the passenger seat. I would be left standing in the cold, holding the $1,500 he gave me as payment for the act, feeling only relief. Because with that money, I could cover 6 months' rent for Sophia and me. So when I heard Victor was bankrupt, I was confused. Why didn't he go to Lara, the woman he adored? Why call me, someone he could barely stand? He asked cautiously, "Selena, I have nowhere to go. I haven't eaten all day. Can I stay with you?" I was about to say no. But my daughter tugged at the hem of my dress, her big grape-like eyes filled with hope and longing. "Mom, let Daddy spend my birthday with me this year, just this once. All the other kids have their dads at their parties." I looked down, my heart aching. I knew Sophia longed for her father's love. Victor truly did love Sophia. He used to take her to amusement parks, buy her cute dresses, and gift her entire sets of princess surprise boxes. But one day, Sophia came home with her head down and said she'd never bother Daddy again. I dropped the spatula and stormed off to the villa. Fueled by the rage of a woman who had washed 1,000 dishes in one day, I slapped Lara across the face and dunked her head into the toilet to wash that filthy mouth of hers. After that, Victor never mentioned seeing Sophia again. But today was Sophia's birthday, and the only thing she wanted was her parents together. I gave in. "Victor, Sophia misses you. You can come have dinner with her." On the other end, he let out a breath of relief. The kind of relief that says, at least not everything is lost. "You're still living in Jingwahuacheng neighborhood, right?" "I'm heading there now." I was confused. Jingwahuacheng? I've never lived there. I live in Bahuyuan, near Sophia's preschool. Outside there's a row of food stalls, and at night, you can hear karaoke blasting from across the street while the roach poison vendor passes by at the same time every evening. It was worlds away from the luxurious neighborhood Victor mentioned. He went quiet for a moment, then asked for my current address. Even in second-hand clothes, he still had an imposing presence. The moment he walked in, Sophia ran to hug his leg. Victor gently stroked her head, but after glancing around my small 2-bedroom apartment, the warmth in his eyes disappeared. "You let my daughter live in a place like this?" Chapter 2. My hand paused as I was preparing tea. The apartment was freshly renovated in a cozy, natural wood style. Everything from the appliances to the cartoon rugs had been picked out by Sophia herself. I had paid for it all. No matter how hard things got, I never let Sophia feel ashamed of her life. But the first thing Victor did was pick it apart. Of course, compared to the 500-square-meter villa he shared with Lara, this place must have seemed tiny. I dumped the tea into the trash and took my daughter by the hand. "Sophia, why don't you go to your room and find the birthday gift Mommy hid for you?" Her face lit up and she dashed off. My smile vanished as I turned to Victor, fury in my eyes. "This place? You were the one begging to come here just a moment ago. You don't even have a place to stay, so what gives you the right to criticize me?" Victor quickly composed himself. He was still playing the role of a bankrupt man, not a CEO. He sat on the sofa, looking uneasy. You misunderstood. What I meant was, why aren't you living in the house I gave you? I stared at him blankly. What house? When we divorced, all I had was a suitcase and Sophia, who was only 3 months old. The little money I had came from selling the jewelry his parents had gifted me. Victor frowned deeply. Selena, you gave me a daughter. Even if I don't love you, I'd never mistreat my own blood. I had my secretary buy a house for you and Sophia and left a large sum of money as compensation. Didn't you accept it? A house? Compensation? That was the first time I had ever heard of it, but I understood quickly. I hadn't accepted anything. You're bankrupt now and trying to scam me? Victor's eyelids lowered, and a deep remorse filled his eyes. Selena, I'd rather beg on the streets than ever deceive you. Of everyone in this world, you are the one I've failed the most. Chapter 3. The story between Victor and me sounds like something straight out of a dramatic romance novel. I was the orphan whose father had once saved Victor's father's life. At the age of 8, his family took me in. Victor's father treated me with great affection. His mother adored my gentle nature. Victor, 2 years older than me, treated me like a little sister, chased off bullies who tried to mess with me, took me to see beautiful places, and helped me pet animals. He did everything he could to help me heal from the loss of my parents. And I, secretly, wrote my innocent crush on him in my diary. Selena likes Victor. Will Victor like Selena? I got my answer in my final year of college. Victor proposed to me. I was over the moon, thrilled that he felt the same. Naively, I followed him to the marriage registry office, and for just 9 yuan, we were legally married. What I didn't know was that his father had given me 10% of the company's shares as a dowry, but also demanded that Victor start from the bottom. Victor hadn't married me for love. He married me for a brighter future, a better life. After the wedding, I threw myself into the illusion of love. I cooked for him, ironed his clothes, and picked him up from business dinners. But while I was pregnant, he cheated on me with Lara, so-called understanding in turn, who was just 6 months older than me. He said Lara understood him, that she was his confidant, his true love. He told me that what he felt for me was nothing more than familial affection. Victor's father saw right through Lara's manipulative nature and declared she would never be welcomed into the family. So Victor came up with a compromise: wouldn't divorce me to keep his parents at peace, but he'd give Lara everything a wife should have, except the marriage certificate. That day was the 10th after I gave birth to Sophia. For someone like me who had always let Victor take the lead, I ripped out my grabbed a fruit knife, and without hesitation, stabbed myself in the abdomen. Marrying Victor had been a foolish mistake of my youth, a romantic delusion born of blind trust and absolute stupidity. That he cheated on me and treated me like a servant was my fault. But I couldn't let him destroy my daughter's life too, even if it cost me my own. Blood was everywhere. Victor froze in shock. Then he panicked, terrified and guilt-stricken. He pressed down on my wound with trembling hands. Selena, don't die. But I was stubborn. He refused to divorce me. He wouldn't give me custody of our child. So I threatened suicide. After they saved me, I tried again. And I would have kept trying until I succeeded. If I died, his father would make Lara's life a living hell. To protect Lara, Victor finally signed the divorce papers. On the day I left, he gave me specific instructions. The divorce must remain a secret. On holidays, I had to act like his loving wife in front of his parents. I agreed, but only under one condition. I'd charge him 10,000 yuan for each performance. Victor, the man who swore I was someone he'd never want, had to pay me to stay in his life. He couldn't stand it. His face twisted with rage as he gritted through his teeth. So you feel nothing for me? Is it just about money? Fine. I won't give you a single cent. I'll wait for the day when you're broke and come crawling back to beg me. And he kept his word. Chapter 4. The so-called financial compensation in our divorce agreement. He never gave me a single yuan. I lived in poverty for a while, but got back on my feet on my own. I never asked him for anything. Recalling this, Victor pressed his fingers to his temples. That was just something I said out of anger. How could I ever abandon you and Sophia? Your angry words were my reality for 4 years. Victor was speechless. He looked around the room again. The things inside weren't cheap, But they didn't scream wealth either. Lara's stockings cost thousands. The clothes I wore were years old. Victor picked up his phone and called a secretary. Mr. Victor, how can I help you? The new boss still hadn't adjusted to the company changes. Victor's tone was naturally authoritative. 4 years ago, the house I asked you to purchase in Jinghua Huaqing and the 80 million yuan for the agreement, did you personally give those to my ex-wife? 80 million, that amount could have secured a good life for Sophia and me. The secretary hesitated. Well, I think it's best you ask Miss Lara about that. Lara. Again. A flood of hatred surged in my chest. Lara had already taken too much. If she dared touch even Sophia's share, I would make her pay dearly. At 7 p.m., I brought the cake to the table. Sophia screamed in excitement. Wow, Mom. You're amazing. I love you so much. Her class group chat was flooded with admiration. Your mom made that by herself? It's even better than the custom bakery cakes. So jealous. Sophia's mom is super talented. She can do fox makeup, handmade bags, fruit sculptures, and even bake such a beautiful cake. Over the past 4 years, I had taken on all sorts of jobs to survive, becoming a true jack of all trades. Sophia cut the cake herself, giving the first piece to me and the second to Victor. Daddy, this is the first birthday you've ever spent with me. I'm so happy. Victor had been staring blankly at his phone, lost in thought, until he snapped back to reality and accepted the slice with exaggerated care. I knew exactly what he was thinking. Chapter 5 today was also Lara's birthday. Every year, he had spent this day with her. The fact that Sophia and her rival shared the same birthday wasn't just coincidence. When I was 9 months pregnant, Lara wasn't satisfied with just sending me taunting messages and photos. She took it further. She mailed me promotional freebies from the luxury items Victor bought her, just to humiliate me even more. Lara's eyes widened. How cruel reality could be. The same people who used to call her sister-in-law, without hesitation, were now cursing her while kicking her out of the group. Sensing the storm coming, Lara decided to save herself. Your family's bankrupt. What does that have to do with me? Did we ever even get married? Does your family even accept me? Why should I sell my properties? Victor's heart pounded. Did he hear her wrong? Was this the same gentle, understanding girlfriend he thought he knew? How could her expression change so drastically? Lara, what are you saying? I gave you everything but a marriage certificate. I practically handed you my heart. I even gave up my wife and daughter for you. Victor thought these words would make Lara recall the love he had shown her. But instead, she scoffed. That was your choice. Haven't you ever heard that gifts aren't returned? I've been in your bed for 4 years, though. You seriously think that comes for free? Besides, seeing Victor's bloodshot eyes, Lara's tone turned even more scornful. A man who could abandon his wife and daughter, do you really think I could ever trust someone like that? Your wife almost died giving birth, and you didn't care. What's to stop you from having a mistress number 2 or 3 and treating me the same? Victor staggered, barely able to stand, but he couldn't refute her. Lara raised her phone. Since you're useless now, let me do you a favor and tell you why your wife was so determined to divorce you. From the moment you crawled into my bed, I sent her photos every date, every gift, every moment we were together. She endured it for a long time. It wasn't until I pushed her into premature labor that she finally fought back. I'm not stupid like her earning into your unpaid maid or your baby machine. Victor felt like his mind had been struck by lightning. Selena had given him countless chances. Again and again. Tired of pretending, Lara let her mask fall completely. Mr. Big CEO, from the moment I joined your company, I dissected your social media profiles. I knew your preferences from head to toe. Did you really think we were soulmates? I was just well prepared. Coming up with conversation topics to entertain you was exhausting. Victor couldn't hold back any longer. Enraged, he grabbed Lara by the neck as if he wanted to strangle her. You only wanted my money. You exploited my feelings. You ruined my marriage. I almost lost my daughter because of you. My father was right, you're a curse. Before he could finish, the security guards called by Lara dragged him out of the building and dumped him outside. Chapter 7. It was late June, yet Victor trembled uncontrollably from the cold. Just then, a notification popped up from a group chat called Their True Hearts. The same group of friends had returned to see the outcome of their little prank. Bro, that was an epic performance. Did Lara panic and sell a house to save you? Victor furiously typed, Selena is my wife. I'm going to win her back. At 7:20 a.m., I opened the door. A tall figure was slumped in front of my doorway. I stepped over Victor, my foot landing on his waist as I walked out. Sophia, already wearing her backpack, happily jumped over him. Victor rubbed his sleepy eyes and followed behind us. Naturally, he took Sophia's hand. I was about to pull her away, but she smiled brightly. Daddy, can you stay by the school gate for a bit after this? I want everyone to see that I have a dad. That way they won't talk badly about Mom, and those uncles will stop bothering her. Sophia. I stopped her firmly. Victor looked at me with sadness in his eyes. I used to be as gentle as a sloth, but now I had become sharp and unyielding. It wasn't hard for him to imagine how many hardships I had endured to become who I was. Victor picked Sophia up with one arm. Okay, not just for a bit. From now on, Daddy will protect you and Mommy every single day. He reached out to hold my hand, but I pulled away. Disgusting. Chapter 8. At 1.88 meters tall, Victor stood out like a crane among chickens at the kindergarten gate, drawing quite the commotion. Sophia, is that your dad? He's so handsome. He totally matches your mom. Why does your mom look so upset and not even talk to him? I didn't want to have anything to do with Victor, but I still needed his help with the house, so we temporarily traveled together. I got on the bus and sat in the back row. Victor sat beside me. As soon as the bus started moving, I switched seats. Victor, who had never ridden a bus before, tried to follow me but lost his balance and slammed his head against a pole. I smiled coldly. The house was currently occupied by an elderly couple. When the man and woman saw Victor, they welcomed him in right away. It turned out they were Lara's parents. Victor was stunned. I laughed. What was there not to understand? Lara had secretly taken the house meant for Sophia and me and given it to her parents to live in. The spacious apartment was over 300 square meters, with marble floors and smart appliances throughout. There were more than 10 beautifully furnished rooms. 7. The elderly couple's dog had its own room. Meanwhile, in the apartment I rented, Sophia slept in the master bedroom, but it was only 15 square meters. We had to maximize vertical space just to make it livable. Here, the kitchen had a machine to cut vegetables, a stir-fryer, and a dishwasher, completely freeing your hands. In the bubble tea shop, I spent all day cutting fruit. My hands hurt so much that I could barely lift them. When I got home, I slapped on a pain relief patch and endured the pain to cook dinner. The more I thought about it, the more my chest ached until I couldn't take it anymore and bent over, breathing heavily. 4 years of accumulated exhaustion hit me all at once. The first year after the divorce was the hardest and most miserable. Big companies, once they found out I was a single mom with a 3-month-old baby, politely rejected me. I could only work part-time jobs with flexible hours and same-day pay. A 1-year-old baby cost a lot and got sick often. The money disappeared as soon as I earned it. I juggled multiple jobs. When I was tired, I drank coffee to stay awake, worked nonstop, and fell asleep with my clothes still on. I had no husband to rely on and no family to help. I felt like a rubber band stretched to its limit, ready to snap. My knees gave out. Victor caught me in a panic. Selena, don't think bad thoughts. I'm here now. I'll protect you. I won't let you suffer anymore. Chapter 9. When I was a child, my classmates used to bully me for not having parents. Victor would jump in and fight them. While I cleaned his wounds, he promised me the same thing, that he would protect me forever. But later, every storm in my life came from him. If he hadn't gone bankrupt, if he hadn't lost everything, would he even remember our bond? Victor was more flustered than ever. He picked me up in his arms as I gasped like I was drowning. He wanted to take me to the hospital. I pointed across the street to the bubble tea shop. Just get me a milk tea. After drinking half of the warm beverage, my face relaxed. It was stress-induced mental exhaustion. Eating or drinking something could help me recover quickly. Victor looked at me in disbelief, then said, "Then let me take you somewhere nice to eat." Wearing 60 yuan sneakers, he headed toward an upscale restaurant. I stopped him. "Aren't you bankrupt? You should be saving money." Victor had walked in like he owned the place. At my words, he suddenly remembered something and adjusted his clothes awkwardly. We found a small, budget-friendly restaurant. Victor's expression twisted with discomfort. Can you really eat somewhere this cheap? I understood. When he was with Lara, even her delivery orders started at 3,000 yuan. I used to be a food courier. Each delivery earned me a few yuan, sometimes a dozen. More than once, I came across expensive orders. But I always passed those on to my coworkers because the delivery address was my old home. I couldn't bring myself to face what my ex-husband and his mistress had done. Now, with a 35 yuan plate of stir-fried beef, Victor ate 2 bowls of rice. I spoke. Ask your secretary if that house is under my name and my daughter's. When the answer came back yes, it felt like a weight had been lifted off my shoulders. Thankfully, the secretary was trustworthy. After we finished eating, I rushed to the property registration office and filed a loss certificate claim. In 40 minutes, I had a new property deed in my hands. Owners, Selena and Sophia. I ran my fingers across the red cover and finally felt a sense of peace. Then I went to an electronics store. An hour later, I knocked on the door of the luxurious apartment. Uncle, Andy, I'm sorry, but this house belongs to my daughter and me. Your daughter has occupied it illegally for 4 years. Please make arrangements to move out. Lara's parents weren't difficult people, so I treated them with respect. When they saw the property title, their faces turned pale, and they quickly called their daughter. How could you take someone else's house? You told us Victor gave it to us as a gift. We've never taken anything from anyone in our lives, and now you've ruined our reputation. Victor immediately denied it. I never gave that house away. I delivered the final blow. She didn't just steal the house. While I was pregnant, your daughter got involved with Victor, which directly caused the breakup of my family. After the divorce, she also kept the settlement money and the house meant for my daughter and meth very house you've been living in. That's why we've suffered for 4 years. Lara's father's eyes widened, and he slammed the floor in frustration. Then I showed them all the provocative messages Lara had sent me. I had kept them for 4 years without deleting a single one. Victor's ears turned red as he tried to shrink into a corner. Ah, so even a cheater knows shame. Chapter 10. The chat records exposed Lara's arrogance and shamelessness. Her father was so furious he almost spat blood, staring up at the sky and yelling, "How could I have raised such a disgraceful creature?" He was about to kneel in front of me. "Miss, please let me apologize." I helped him up. Lara hasn't arrived yet. There's no rush to apologize. When Lara finally showed up, her father greeted her with several slaps. Even after the hits, Lara held her head high. Yes, I took her man and her house. So what? Is there any justice in this world? Should I act like you, all proud and moral, and live in poverty for the rest of my life? Turning to Victor and me, she looked neither guilty nor ashamed. In fact, she looked proud. Besides this house, I still have 4 others, 2 cars, 200 million yuan in savings, and a countless number of luxury items. Right now, I'm the richest person in this room. And you too? One's in debt, and the other's just a lowly worker. Do you really think you can go up against me? Can you even afford a lawyer? Let's see how long you can hold out against me. Lara's audacity was unmatched. She was the thickest-skinned person I had ever known. Without her, my daughter should have grown up with everything she needed like a princess. But Lara kept shouting, "Selena, kneel down right now and give me 100 bows, and maybe I'll forgive you and your daughter." With 2 heavy thuds, her parents fell to their knees in tears and bowed to me. "This is a sin. Miss, our family has wronged you. We failed to raise our daughter properly. We'll move out immediately." Lara was stunned by the scene, and I made no effort to stop her parents. I mimicked her earlier arrogance and said, "Do you see now? You hurt my daughter and me without restraint, and now the consequences have fallen on your parents. There's nothing wrong with a woman having ambition. But ambition should drive you to work hard and move forward, not to abandon shame and take shortcuts. Anything given to you by others is only borrowed. The one who gives can always take it back." Lara's face darkened even more. I thought to myself, no matter how blind Victor once was, there's no way he would have willingly given her cars and houses. She had simply taken advantage of his temporary downfall. I pressed harder. Do you know why you still can't have children? Because you climbed your way to the top over my blood and my pain. Your fate to bear children was broken long ago. Even a child would feel ashamed to have a mistress for a mother and refuse to enter your womb. I remembered seeing Lara brewing traditional Chinese medicine during my last visit to the villa. Having worked at a TCM clinic, I recognized it instantly. It was for infertility. When I exposed her secret condition, Lara's face twisted in rage. She lunged at me. Victor, who had been silent, stepped in and held her down by the shoulders. But that was all. Chapter 11. Lara smiled confidently, looking at me with mockery. Of course. Victor had always been on her side. He had always favored her unconditionally. The last time, when I forced Lara to drink toilet water, Victor had come running in and shoved me hard. My back hit the sink, and I collapsed to the floor, unable to get up for 5 minutes. I watched helplessly as he scooped Lara up in his arms and carried her out. For Victor, it never mattered who was writhe, always left me alone. My eyes darkened. Even though I had long given up hope in Victor, I still wished that, just once, he would stand up for his daughter. I'm holding her. Go ahead and hit her until you feel better. His words left everyone in the room stunned. Lara stood frozen in disbelief. What are you saying? How can you help her bully me? Victor let out a sarcastic laugh and twisted her arms behind her back. This is bullying? What about everything you did to Selena and Sophia? Letting her slap you is mercy. I didn't know why Victor had suddenly turned against her, but I wasn't about to hold back. I gave her 10 slaps in a row. Lara's father remained kneeling in silence. Her mother tried to plead for her, but he stopped her with a shout. This is your fault. You kept feeding her ideas about marrying rich men. Look at what she's done to this woman's family. What's owed must be repaid. She's an adult. She has to take responsibility for her actions. Lara was in pain, full of grievances, but she couldn't break free. Her tears fell in heavy drops. Her parents, her boyfriend, not a single person stood on her side. This was what it meant to be completely abandoned. Chapter 12. Not long after, the police arrived. Knowing how troublesome Lara could be, she had filed a report in advance. I also presented the newly reissued property title. Lara's eyes widened in disbelief, and she had no choice but to surrender. I grabbed her by the hair. And what about the 80 million? You don't want me to charge you with fraud, do you? Give me a few days, I'll find a way to get it. With that, she shamefully took her parents and left. Back at the rental house, I started packing. Sophia clumsily taped the boxes. Mom, are we moving? Should we say goodbye to Uncle Eric? Uncle Eric? Victor, who had been dragging heavy items, stopped and looked at me with a questioning glare. I didn't understand where his sudden anger came from. If those 80 million hadn't come through yet, I would have kicked him out long ago. Yet, Victor still followed me to Eric's house. Eric, 27 years old, tall, fair-skinned, didn't drink or smoke, just loved food. I brought fruits and local goods and secretly tucked an envelope of money under his couch. I thanked him for looking after me all these years. Eric looked reluctant, his eyes glistening with emotion. Selena, could you leave me an address? I'll visit you and Sophia whenever I pass by. Without hesitation, I sent him my address on WeChat. When Sophia fell asleep, Victor finally asked, Eric looked at you like he wanted to eat you alive. Don't tell me there's nothing going on between you two. Victor's double standards were completely infuriating. Even if there were something between Eric and me, it was none of his business. Yes, I like Eric. But we're not like you and Lara, dirty and twisted. My words hit Victor hard, but he had no rebuttal. Lara was disgusting, and so was he. I opened my hands, showing my calloused palms. Victor, I'm not omnipotent. These hands can't do everything. I can't fix circuits. I can't lift heavy objects. And no matter how careful I am, I can still get sick. Eric has helped me many times. He's always supported me and looked after Sophia. I'm grateful, so I invited him to dinner and gave him a gift. I didn't reject him outright because, honestly, I don't know what else to do. Victor's accusations melted into guilt. If he had ever fulfilled his role as a father and husband, I wouldn't have needed help from a stranger. He asked with concern, You said he saved you. What happened? It actually had something to do with Victor. Chapter 13. On New Year's Eve, the first year after our divorce, I was out delivering food nonstop. When fireworks lit up the sky, my little electric scooter slipped, and I was flung several meters. I crashed to the ground, blood pooling around my head. I looked up and saw the fireworks form the words, "Lara, I still love you. Next year too." I earned 6 yuan per delivery, and all I ever got was a thank you. But true feelings? They meant nothing. At that moment, I closed my eyes, genuinely wishing I wouldn't wake up again. Unfortunately, I soon collapsed into someone's arms. I thanked him and said, "Don't worry about me. I'll be fine after I rest." Eric, a pastry chef, was either moved by my recklessness or impressed that I was riding without a helmet. He took me to the hospital, paid my medical bills, and brought me a hot meal. The kindness of a stranger got me through that brutal night. After talking, we discovered we lived fairly close. When I was discharged, every coincidence Eric arranged, I pretended to be surprised. Among the men who tried to approach me, he was the most reliable and thoughtful. But unfortunately, I no longer trusted men. All I wanted was a decent male figure for Sophia, someone who could guide her as she grew up. After hearing this, Victor's face turned red, then pale, filled with shame. "I'm sorry. I was an idiot. I never thought about you or Sophia. You carried all the responsibilities on your own. From now on, I'll take care of both of you." I smiled but said nothing, returning to my room to sleep. Victor wasn't discouraged. He reported his progress in the group chat, their true hearts. Progress update. Tonight I'm on the sofa, and during the day she invited me to eat. Tomorrow I'll do my best. Everyone congratulated him. One person who knew me added, "Why didn't you act like this before? When she was your wife, she could have asked you for money, designer bags, jewelry, or haute couture like Lara. But she didn't. All she ever wanted was you. You were the one who completely destroyed her." In the middle of the night, half asleep, I received a message. "Wife, I love you so much." I turned over and muttered, "Idiot." Chapter 14. The next morning, Victor got up early, eagerly bought breakfast, and even helped braid Sophia's hair. During the move, he handled everything, not letting me lift a finger. I figured he wanted to stay, which explained his eagerness to please. After all, he was bankrupt and couldn't afford rent. Since the apartment had plenty of rooms, I let him stay temporarily. After all, the 80 million hadn't arrived yet. But instead of money, what came was a storm online. That day, as soon as I stepped out, a group of people surrounded me and beat me. The front door was splashed with red paint that said "Beast," and stinking trash was scattered everywhere. Crying, Sophia tried to shield me but was shoved to the ground. Victor quickly locked her inside and rushed out to fight off the attackers. It turned out a secretly recorded video had gone viral online. The video was edited and stripped of context. It showed 2 elderly people kneeling and bowing to me while I seemed to be mocking them. At first glance, it looked like I was abusing them. Meanwhile, Lara, with her face visibly swollen from the slaps, started a live stream on social media. She claimed I had tortured her, forced her elderly parents onto the streets, and extorted 80 million yuan from her. She also accidentally revealed the address of the house. That's how today's events happened. I understood immediately. She had no intention of returning the money. She just wanted to make my life unbearable. The scene of the elderly kneeling and bowing was too provocative. If they insisted on their version of events, nothing I said would clear my name. Once I realized that, I called the police to collect evidence, and the attackers were quickly arrested. Afterward, I registered an account and posted a full, uncut, 3-hour video. It captured the entire process from that day, with clear visuals and even the faintest sounds recorded. I had carefully selected a micro camera from the electronics market. That day, I secretly placed it on the shelf facing the sofa, anticipating trouble. In the past 4 years, I had dealt with countless bullies and scumbags, learning how vital it was to always be on guard. Once the video was posted, public opinion shifted instantly. The sympathy Lara had gained turned into outrage and condemnation. So the wife slapped the mistress and evicted a thief. If it were me, I would have hit her even harder. This green tea bee really knows how to twist the truth. Is there no limit to her shamelessness? She even used her own parents. Can a mistress have any bottom line? But that wasn't all. I also posted screen recordings of every provocative message Lara had ever sent me, accompanied by detailed captions and photos showing the struggles my daughter and I had endured. Chapter 15. Victor's affair was something I could have exposed a long time ago. I held back not for him, but out of respect for his parents and for the stability of the company. His parents had treated me with immense kindness, as if I were their own daughter. But now, with the company bankrupt and his parents overseas, nothing was holding me back. If Lara wanted to dig her own grave, I would be the one to bury her. After disconnecting Sophia from the internet, I hit publish. Lara's comment section exploded again. Oh my god, this mistress is a vampire. Stealing the husband wasn't enough, she also took the house and the money meant for the wife and daughter. Unbelievable. You love sending bed photos to the wife? Why not make that your job? Did your parents never teach you shame? You pushed the wife into premature labor, nearly killing both her and the baby. You're seriously disgusting. I hate mistresses more than anything. If I don't slap you, I don't deserve my last name. Lara was so terrified that she didn't show her face for days. Victor and his company were also attacked. Girls, I took screenshots of all the guys and the mistress's posts. Look at this. While the wife and daughter were suffering, they were on vacation. That one handbag next to the mistress could have supported the wife and daughter for 4 years. How can you sit there eating 1,000 yuan steaks with your mistress while your daughter can't even afford milk? Are you even human? You dressed your mistress like a goddess, while your wife's clothes weren't even worth 300 yuan. What did your wife ever do to deserve this? She was an orphan, and you and your mistress ganged up on her. Don't you feel guilty? Oh wait, you probably don't have a conscience. If you did, you wouldn't have cheated on your pregnant wife. As the insults poured in, Victor sat beside me. I silently watched him cry, slap himself, and down glass after glass of whiskey. I didn't understand. I was the one who had suffered. I didn't cry, so what was he crying for? Oh right, he was probably sad because people were insulting Lara. Compared to him and Lara, the comments in my section were far kinder, filled with comfort and encouragement. The wife is truly beautiful. Even without makeup, she's so much more stunning than the mistress. It's heartbreaking that someone so amazing was betrayed. What does a woman have to do to be truly loved? 3 years ago, the mistress worked at my shop. She was raising her daughter alone. She only ate steamed buns and bottled water, but cared for her daughter meticulously. The little girl was quiet and polite. Both mother and daughter were incredibly strong. Sis, did you get your house back yet? What about the settlement money? Did the mistress return it? If not, we'll help you get it. I replied to every message. Those heartfelt words from the internet gave me strength. The people who had once attacked me came to my house to apologize, offer compensation, and even bring gifts for Sophia. They too had been deceived by the mistress and her sob story. Later, these same people hung a sign outside Lara's building. The mistress in apartment 801 forced the wife into premature labor, stole her daughter's house, and welcomes all single men to visit her. Lara's door was constantly pounded on, sometimes by people looking to confront her, other times by those trying to take advantage of her. She lived in fear every day. Someone even installed speakers around her complex to blast a message. Has Lara paid her debts today? Someone else rented the apartment across from hers and set up high-definition cameras to live stream her 24/7. Unexpectedly, someone broke down her door and beat her. Lara's parents faced overwhelming scorn from relatives and friends. Her father was so affected, he ended up hospitalized. Chapter 16. Through sobs, Lara messaged me, begging for mercy. Letting her go was simple. Return the money. Not just the 80 million yuan, but every cent he spent on you before our divorce, including hotel expenses. Second, make a public apology. 3 days later, I received 85.04 million yuan and a public apology video from Lara herself. I figured the lesson was enough, and now that I had my money, I made a post declaring the matter closed. Lara could finally breathe again. But soon after, another apology video pushed her right back into the spotlight. Victor gave a detailed account of his affair with Lara. Lara had been relentless, targeting Victor the moment she joined the company. She catered to his tastes and orchestrated coincidental meetings. Even knowing he was married, she deliberately seduced him. Victor admitted he failed to resist her advances and that they had multiple encounters while I was pregnant. He said he had been blinded by greed and Lara's manipulation and that he had made many wrong decisions. He expressed deep regret for the harm he caused to those who loved him. He promised to make amends with actions, not words. "I'm not asking for forgiveness, just the chance to fulfill my responsibilities as a husband and father," he said, asking the public to hold him accountable. The comment section was split, half filled with rage, the other half waiting to see if he'd live up to his words. Victor began treating me extraordinarily well. So well that he even washed my hair. So well that the fruit he prepared was always peeled. But just being good to me wasn't enough. I handed Victor a sidecar cocktail. "Do you know why Lara dared to take things from Sophia and me without a second thought?" The glass paused at his lips. "Because I couldn't tell right from wrong and took her side." I shook my head. "No. It's because, no matter how much she hurt me, she was never punished." "You're right." He downed the drink in one gulp. 2 days later, Victor filed a lawsuit against Lara, demanding repayment of everything he had spent on her. The legal team was aggressive. I asked how he could afford such top-tier lawyers. He said they were working pro bono, hoping to gain fame from the case. The house, the car, the luxury goods, and some cash. Lara barely managed to return part of it. But her daily expenses had always been excessive. Everything she once swallowed, she now had to cough up piece by piece. When the money ran out, other punishments followed. Victor's final gift to Lara was a pair of silver bracelets and an iron house. The internet erupted with applause. Justice was served. Victor found her belongings disgusting and quickly sold them off. The 500 million yuan he earned from the sales he offered to me as an apology. I returned it. "The 80 million I have is more than enough. Your family's bankrupt. Pay your debts first or start a small business. Work hard and bring your parents back home. Life abroad is tough on the elderly." My response surprised Victor, though after thinking it over, he realized it was just like me. I had always cared deeply for his parents. He accepted my decision. "All right. Consider it a loan from you." Victor shared a screenshot in the group chat. "She gave me 500 million yuan. The chat titled, "Their True Hearts," exploded. 666 bro. You played a game and actually discovered who was real and who wasn't. Wow, 500 million? Where do you find a wife that amazing? Were you blind to let her go? Dude, she's been through so much. You owe her. Don't ever cheat on her again." The group name, Their True Hearts, now felt ironically sharp. Could deception really test true feelings? A few days later, Victor confessed that he had never actually gone bankrupt. It had all been a test for me and for Lara. I was shocked, but I saw it as good news. Victor's parents were safe, Lara had been exposed, and Sophia once again had her father in her life. I asked him what the bet was. "A pink diamond. It's worth more than 50 million yuan. Since I helped you win, give it to me." Seeing that I wasn't asking for more explanations, Victor grinned from ear to ear. "Of course, dear wife." He said it so naturally. When he touched my ear, he noticed it was bare. Chapter 17. That afternoon, Victor took me to the mall for a shopping spree. Jewelry, clothes, handbags. I accepted everything he bought me and even praised him the way Lara used to. He spent money with such enthusiasm. Wearing a red dress and adorned in jewels, I looked radiant and full of life. Victor took photos and posted them online, triggering a wave of sharp comments from netizens. "Now that's more like it. Make it up to your wife and daughter properly, will be watching you every day." In the following days, Sophia and I went to Disney to watch fireworks, visited Chuanzhou for its traditional floral displays, and traveled to Hainan to eat coconut chicken. Happiness was plain to see. Gradually, netizens began to relax. Seeing the company's reputation recover and its stock price rise, I finally felt at peace. I called Victor's father to share the good news. The day the bet ended, I received the pink diamond necklace and was added to Victor's private chat with his closest friends. Wearing the necklace, I went to see the person Victor had originally planned to give it to. Lara looked haggard and pale, a wound on her forehead. I was the first to speak. Did you know Victor faked his bankruptcy? It was all just a test of true feelings. Lara stood frozen for 2 seconds, then exploded with rage. What did you say? He faked it? That's impossible. His friends kicked him out of their circle. I even went to his company, and the boss had changed. That was part of the setup. Lara shook her head repeatedly, as if the truth had struck her too hard. Then she looked at me, wrapped in luxury brands, recognizing them as emblems of victory. So you passed the test? Are you willing to pay off his debts? You really are that lucky kind of fool. I smiled and changed the subject. You're not incapable. If you tried, you could live a decent life. At least you wouldn't end up in prison. You can't trust men. Men only love themselves. A mocking expression crept across Lara's face, followed by 2 tears rolling down her cheeks. At first, I didn't want to take your house or your money. I just couldn't accept it. Why did he lie beside me and still warn me not to let you find out? Why did you force the divorce, but he still refused to accept it? Why, even after the divorce, did he voluntarily give you so much money? Why, on the day you left, did he hide to cry alone? Looking at the hysterical Lara, I suddenly understood. No wonder you lost. No wonder you kept making foolish mistakes. Maybe just a little. But Lara had fallen in love with Victor. As for why Victor was now being good to me was probably because when I had loved him most purely, Victor handed me a share transfer agreement. He lied, saying it was a wedding planning document, and asked me to sign it. I pretended not to care and signed without a second thought. Back then, I loved him so much I was willing to give him everything to support his career unconditionally. Victor always knew I didn't love money. I only loved him. But what was the point? He still fell for someone else. Now he's chasing after me just because he finally understands the value of sincerity. But my love for him had died long ago. It ended completely the moment I saw him holding Lara in the hallway while I lay on a stretcher, barely surviving childbirth. At the end of summer vacation, Victor placed a document in front of me, his hand covering the top half. Sophia's school transfer form. You just need to sign at the bottom. Victor looked at me gently, his smile soft. But I clearly saw words like 20%, shares, and donation in the document. Still, I acted disinterested and signed quickly. Victor slipped the paper into my bag, looking at me with pure affection. I knew he would naturally bring up marriage again soon. I smiled and said, "Thanks, big brother." The word brother stung him. Victor stepped forward and pulled me into a tight hug. "Don't call me brother. I want to be with you. You know I love you." When we divorced, it wasn't because of Lara. I was afraid of hurting you again. You'd rather die than stay with me. I have my pride too. I wanted to find you, but how could I lower myself to do it? Victor's absurd logic made me laugh. He was just greedy. He wanted everything. But my firm decision back then left him angry and unsatisfied for 4 whole years. I had already moved on. I was wrong before. I thought what I felt for you was love, but it was actually familial affection. You'll always be family to me. Chapter 18. 4 years ago, that metaphorical bullet hit Victor straight in the forehead. He desperately denied it. No, that's not true. You love, make and feel it. You were just too hurt. Let's give it time to rebuild what we had, okay? I suddenly asked him calmly. If Lara had passed her test, that call would have never come to me, right? Victor opened his mouth but couldn't deny it once he imagined the scenario. I nodded, already at peace. I'm going home to help Sophia prepare for her school transfer. As I stepped out, I faintly heard him say, "If I didn't love you, why would I have married you?" That was his problem, not mine. All I knew was that the 20% of company shares, with annual dividends in the billions, now belonged to me. I had exchanged 500 million yuan for many more billions, a very profitable deal. The day I discovered the group chat, their true hearts, was the same day Victor broke down in tears under a wave of online criticism. He drank heavily, completely drunk and unconscious. A message popped up. "Bro, this has gotten huge. Are we still continuing the true heart test?" On a strange impulse, I stared at the screen for a long time. Even more unexpectedly, I discovered the lock could be opened with my birth date. That's how I learned about his game. And that Lara fell from grace because she failed the challenge. In that case, I couldn't afford to lose. Knowing Victor's generosity, giving up 500 million would only make him give me more. So I staged a performance acting like money meant nothing to me and fully gained Victor's trust. How ridiculous. A group of rich people playing with others' feelings and calling their group chat their true hearts. True hearts? How much are those worth? Money is what really matters. Money brings security, confidence, power, and choices. On my way home, I bought a sophisticated and elegant dress. A week later, I would take up my new position at the company. Yesterday, Victor's father also rewarded me with the role of branch director. Passing by a toy store, I bought Sophia the bear-shaped building blocks she had wanted for so long. On the way home, I thought about how to explain to her that Daddy would now be uncle. To my surprise, Sophia accepted it calmly. It doesn't matter, because Daddy's a traitor, right? He abandoned me for Aunt Lara. Then he abandoned Mommy for Aunt Lara. So, the most important one isn't Daddy, it's Mommy. And to Mommy, the most important one is me. I never expected a 4-year-old to say something so mature. I knelt down and hugged her tightly. I'm going to make Sophia a true princess. I'm going to pave her path with gold and flowers. Victor was heartbroken. He locked himself in his villa for a long time before going to the Jinghua Huachin complex and sitting outside for half a day. Eventually, he returned to his old home. His parents were sunbathing in the courtyard. He went straight to the second floor and opened Selena's room. He lay down on her bed and fell asleep. He decided to stay there for a while. When he woke up, he opened her drawer. There wasn't much inside. Childhood hair clips, her high school glasses, the necklace she bought with summer job money, and a few diaries. He took them out and began reading one by one. When he reached the childhood memories, he couldn't help but laugh. But gradually, Selena's diaries took a different turn. They became love letters. Page after page was filled with the confessions of a young girl secretly in love with her big brother. The more he read, the blurrier his vision became. On the last page, there was only one sentence. Selena likes Victor. Will Victor like Selena? 18-year-old Selena was reaching across time to ask 28-year-old Victor that question. Without thinking, he wanted to write his answer. But sadly, he didn't have a pen. He opened the other two drawers, but there wasn't a pen there either.